Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Shabbat class, 20th of January, 2024. We'll be reading out of the book of Zechariah. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, and check out our videos. We have a lot of videos that you can review, check them out, and get some information. It's over 800. So if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Okay. So with that being said, we got other classes and that we have during the week. Tuesdays we have our advanced Bible study where everybody can join in, participate. That's from 8 to 10 Central Time. Wednesday nights we have reading through the Tanakh, where we do a lot of reading and breaking down scripture. That's from 8 to 10 Central Time on Wednesdays. Thursday nights we have Women's Advanced Bible Study. It's from 8 to 10 Central Time. And Friday nights we have Men's Advanced Bible Study, but it's on Clubhouse. And our the title of our room is Non-Messianic Conversations. So you have to go to Clubhouse, and then you have to find our title of our room, which is Non-Messianic Conversations. And then we have 2 Shabbat classes on the Sabbath. One in the morning from 10 to 12 p.m. Central Time. Then we have another one at 6 to 7 Central Time, close out the Shabbat. Okay. So with that being said, for those who don't know, this is a non-Messianic conversation. And by that I mean we deal with the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, and the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, that's books of the law. We don't subscribe to the New Testament, nor the God that's in the New Testament or his apostles. Okay. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our moment of silence, our evening Shabbat prayer, Psalms. Then we do a few current events, a little need to know information. Then we open it up for some questions or comments that anybody may have. Then we'll read a few chapters and break them down out of the book of Zechariah, and we'll close out. Okay, it's a moment of silence, that we have for the Lord of hosts, our Redeemer, and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and your wisdom, and we tarry waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers, and you, oh Lord, have directed us to who you are and your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. And we come this day at the end of your Shabbat, doubtless that you will appear and that you will gather our nation from among these wicked Gentiles. And we are waiting and watching for you, O Lord. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to read the Psalms. Okay. Okay, I'll read Psalm 74. It's a complaint born of faith. It's from Asaph, David's chief musician. O God, why hast thou cast us off forever? Why doeth thine anger smoke against the sheep of thy pasture? Remember thy congregation, which thou hast purchased of old, the rod of thine inheritance, which thou hast redeemed. This Mount Zion, wherein thou hast dwelt, lift up thy feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy have done wickedly in the sanctuary. Thine enemies roar in the midst of thy congregation. They set up their ensigns for signs. A man was famous according to as he had lifted up axes upon the thick trees. But now thy break down the carved works, weld at once with axes and hammers. They have cast fire into thy sanctuary. They have defiled by casting down the dwelling place of thy name to the ground. They said in their hearts, let us destroy them together. They have burned up all the synagogues of God in the land. We see not our signs. There is no more any prophets, neither is there among us any that knoweth how long. O God, how long shall the adversary reproach? Shall the enemy blaspheme thy name forever? Why withdrawest thou thy hand, even thy right hand? Pluck it out of thy bosom. For God is my King of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. Thou didst divide the sea by thy strength. Thou breakest the heads of the dragon in the waters. Thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces, and gavest him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. Thou didst cleave the fountain and the flood. Thou driedest up mighty waters. The day is thine, and the night is thine, also thine. Thou hast prepared the light and the sun. Thou hast set all the borders of the earth, and thou hast made summer and winter. Remember this, that the enemy have reproached, O Lord, and that the foolish people have blasphemed thy name. O deliver not the soul of thy turtle dove unto the multitude of the wicked. Forget not the congregation of thy poor forever. Have respect unto the covenant, for the dark places of the earth are full of the habitation of cruelty. O let not the oppressed return ashamed, and let the poor and needy praise thy name. Arise, O God, plead thine own cause, and remember how the foolish man approaches thee daily. Forget not the voice of thy enemy, the tumult of those that rise up against thee increases continuously. So that was Psalms chapter 74. Anybody have any comments on it?
No, sir.
Okay, so I want to shine a light on this because I just saw it. It says, if you understand what's going on, Asaph is talking about when the temple got destroyed. So it says in verse 3, lift up thy feet unto perpetual desolations, even all the enemy have done wickedly in the sanctuary. So this is when Antiochus came and tore down the temple. So we know that Nebuchadnezzar came and tore down the temple, but we'll see. I'm gonna show you how I know it's the Greeks when the Greeks came. So he says in verse 3, lift up thy feet unto the perpetual desolation, this abomination to make it desolate. Even all that the enemy have done wickedly in the sanctuary. Thy enemies roar in the midst of the congregation. They set up their ensigns for signs. That's what the Greeks done. They came in there and put Zeus and all that in the temple. A man was famous according to, he had lifted up an axe upon the thick trees. So what is he talking about? That they use cedars and all different types of trees that they had got from Lebanon to put in the temple to build it. So they put an axe to them, tear them down. So he says, but now they break down this carved work thereof at once with axes and hammers. They have cast fire into the sanctuary. They have defiled it by casting down the dwelling place of the name of God. Right? Then 8, they said in their hearts, this Psalm 83, like I was dealing with this morning, they said in their hearts, let us destroy them together. They have burned up all the synagogues of the God in the land. We see not our signs. And check this out. There is no more any prophet. That's how we know that it's Antiochus, Epiphanes. Ain't no more prophets. When they went to Babylon, you got Daniel, Ezekiel, all these men in Babylon prophets. So 9 says, we see not our signs. There is no more any prophets. Neither is there any among us that knoweth how long? So there's nobody that dealing with him. Nobody is there to stand in the hedge for the angels to give him a understanding for them to come and tell him. It's been cut off. So we know this is the prophecy of Daniel. O God, how long shall the adversary reproach? Shall the enemy blaspheme thy name forever? Why withdraw thou thy hand, even thy right hand? Pluck it out of thy bosom. For God is my King of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. So then he reminded him that how he had split the Red Sea. Thou didst divide the sea by thy strength. Thou breakest the heads of the dragon in his water. So he's talking about how he was able to divide the Red Sea and deliver them. Say, where show us that power now. And divide them would be the Egyptians, because they serpent seeds. They descended from the fallen angels, and we know what they wore on their heads. They were serpentine. They had those serpent. They had a hawk and a serpent on their crown. So he says, 13, he breaketh the head of the dragon in the water. So he brought the serpent. He brought him out in the middle of the water and brought the water in on him. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got comments on that? Okay. We'll go to some current events. Got a couple.
So millions of people are going to suffer, many of which aren't even going to survive what is coming very soon. I want to address this because time is running out. We don't have much time to fix this, but as of right now, some people believe we got all the time in the world, which actually puts the entire world at jeopardy. Because again, this issue is not just a United States issue. This is a worldwide catastrophe waiting to happen. So I will address what is going on. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So what is going on at this time? And why do many believe that time is running out? Well, it's quite simple. What we are facing today is attacks on a global scale. I want to show you this. I want to show you a map really quick, just to give you an idea of what we are currently facing. So right here is the Middle East. Okay, I'll zoom out so you can see it. Okay, here's the Middle East, right here. The United States is clear over here, right? Now, that does not mean the United States is out of the mess that's happening in the Middle East. And here's the reason why. Currently, Israel is attacking Gaza or Hamas. That's a big issue, okay? That's where things started. Then, because Israel keeps attacking Hamas, which is an Iranian-backed proxy, Iran, which is over here, is attacking Israel, okay? We're also seeing Lebanon, who have in Lebanon, we have Hezbollah. They are attacking Israel as well. We're also seeing attacks in Syria. We're also seeing attacks in Iraq. And down here in Yemen, the Yemen Houthis are attacking ships in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden right here. Okay? You see it right here. So this is turning into a massive crisis because now all these attacks are happening in the Red Sea, but also here in the Middle East. That is a problem because one of the things that world leaders have said ever since these attacks started on October 7th of 2023 is we need to ensure that this war doesn't widen. However, it did exactly that. So, why are many experts saying that millions are not going to survive this? Well, for 2 main reasons. The first one, any war is going to increase costs. And when we look at how important this map is, right here, we look up here, okay, we have the Suez Canal, okay, so that's up here. Now down here we got the Red Sea. There is so much global trade that comes through here, okay, so much. I believe it's like 12 or 15% of all trade comes through the Red Sea. So it's a vital corridor for the entire world. So some are saying that millions of people won't survive this because they will not be able to pay for goods, some food, fuel for heating, right, transportation. This is going to cripple many economies. The next reason why is because of all the deaths that we could see. All because of what is happening in this region right here, okay? All because of what is going on. We already know what's happening up here between Russia and Ukraine. That's a huge concern, but that's not the biggest concern because that is something that's been going on for 2 years, and yet Russia hasn't really taken more of Ukraine yet. So the issue right now is this area, the Middle East. What is going to happen here? And how is it going to impact trade all around the world? Well, here's what I can tell you. The United States is continuing to do their part. They're continuing to attack the Houthis. It says U.S. strikes Houthis in Yemen again after Biden vowed to continue attacks. President Biden said that these attacks were going to continue because the attacks on the Houthis pretty much did nothing. It didn't sway the Houthis at all. Okay? Let's look at this. It says Biden says U.S. strikes on Houthi rebels have not stopped the attacks in the Red Sea. And according to Houthi leaders, these attacks are not going to stop until Israel stops bombarding Gaza with bombs and missiles. They're not going to stop. They will continue to attack ships that go up and down the Red Sea. And until they stop, the United States is not going.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Tom?
Pretty good, thanks.
Stop attacking these Houthi rebels. So again, these wars, these conflicts are just going to continue. But something else is happening. Pakistan decided to get involved. Pakistan struck Iran and I believe took the lives of 9 people. Let's just go and look at this really quick, okay? Let's go and look at this. So here is Iran here. Iran is involved because they are funding the Yemen Houthis right down here. Okay, let me back out of that. They are funding the Yemen Houthis right here. So they're doing that. They're also funding Hamas, which is currently in a fight with Israel. They're also funding the Hezbollah out of Lebanon. Okay, but Iran now has an issue with their neighbor right here, Pakistan. Just think about that for a second. The war started right here. Okay, this is where the war was, up here. Now the problem is it spread to all of this over here. This is what we're getting now. Okay, that is the concern, is it widened very quickly. Again, this war started between Israel and Hamas on October 7th. Okay, it's currently January 20th. We haven't gone very far. November, December, January, 3 months. A little over 3 months, and that's how big the war is. Yeah, it's concerning. But the bigger concern is that now, because Pakistan launched this retaliatory strike against Iran, which Iran first attacked Pakistan, well, now they're going to go back and forth. All it takes is a misguided missile, a miscalculation, a misunderstanding. Those are the 3 things that experts say is going to cause the next world war. It's going to be a miscalculation, okay, a misunderstanding, okay, or, and again, a misguided missile would be just absolutely catastrophic. That's exactly what we saw against a Russian ship. Against a Russian ship. The Yemen Houthis attacked a Russian ship by mistake. Luckily, that missile just missed the boat. It just missed it. But just think, if that missile were to hit and sink a Russian ship, what would Russia have done? Yeah, that's the problem. So again, I bring this up because experts believe time is running out to stop this, to slow down the spread of this war. If this continues to accelerate and this spreads rapidly like it is, some are worried that millions of people, not just in the Middle East, but in other countries, for instance, the United States.
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. Got another one right here.
If you're an athlete and you want to fix your chronic
in Jerusalem, and it's sending shockwaves through religious communities. Imagine a movement in Israel to rebuild the third temple in Jerusalem, a key element of biblical prophecy tied to the return of Jesus Christ. But wait, there's a twist. It's all unfolding before the end times, with the Antichrist making moves. The plot thickens when you realize a particular place in Jerusalem must be present for this prophecy to come true. The anticipation is through the roof, leaving many bewildered. Who's occupying this mysterious building? And will the Israelis reclaim it? What is God's true desire in all of this? Curious? Well, in this video, let's explore the twists and turns of this riveting tale, understanding the mind-boggling occurrence in God's Holy Land. The concept of the third temple revolves around constructing a new temple in Jerusalem, which holds profound importance in Judaism, particularly for Orthodox Jews. This proposed temple is seen as a sacred place for prayer, and it is anticipated that it will be built during a significant event, such as the arrival of the Messiah. In ancient times, prophets like Ezekiel, Isaiah, and Amos foretold a future where Jewish people would return to their homeland and establish a new temple. These prophecies hold immense significance for those who believe in end-time events. Ezekiel, a key prophet, envisioned that the rebuilding of the temple would highlight the special connection between people worldwide and God. This idea gained renewed excitement in 1948, when Israel officially became a country, aligning with prophetic expectations. The spiritual importance of the third temple. For Jewish and Messianic believers, the third temple isn't merely a physical structure. It's a sacred space where they feel an intimate connection with God. Ezekiel's teaching suggests that a unique aspect of the temple disappeared, but will return. Anticipation for the temple's construction. As Israel celebrates nearly 75 years of statehood, there's growing anticipation that the focus will shift toward the construction of the temple. This prospect terrifies the Antichrist, who recognizes the significance of the place where God chose to establish his name. The unfolding events align with the expectations outlined in the biblical narrative of the last days. The Antichrist is growing uneasy as the Jewish community expresses a serious intent to restore their Holy of Holies. The pivotal reconstruction of the third temple is essential to revealing God's divine presence, particularly on the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant. Speculate about a potential Jewish presence on the Temple Mount or any perceived harm to Muslim structures. This pattern underscores the delicate nature of the situation, highlighting the challenges in achieving a peaceful coexistence on this historically significant site. Establishing a lasting peace plan for the Temple Mount requires a highly respected and trusted individual recognized by both Muslims and Jews. Only such a mediator can facilitate an environment where the Jewish people can worship in the temple on the mount that King David purchased, as documented in 2 Samuel 24. As prophesied in Daniel 9:27, the realization of a peace plan will not be without its challenges. Despite potential troubles that may arise, Believers are encouraged to maintain confidence, knowing that God remains in control, as expressed in Psalm 121:4. He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Fulfillment of end-time prophecy. End-time Bible prophecy related to the Third Temple is approaching fulfillment. The prophetic rebirth of Israel as a nation in 1948 and the initiation of most temple preparations in the last 30 years signal that significant developments are underway, aligning with biblical predictions. Moreover, we find ourselves currently in the period between the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 BC and the awaited construction of the Third Temple. This era is marked by frequent controversies regarding the Temple Mount, primarily fueled by concerns that the Jewish community may proceed with building their place of worship. Hebrew prophets foretold that in the last days, the exiles of Israel would return to the Promised Land, with the restoration of the temple being their paramount ambition. The yearning for the revival of the temple has persisted for millennia. Anticipation and timing of the Third Temple. Jews have patiently awaited the revival of the temple for centuries. According to Scripture, the resurrection of the temple is a crucial precursor to the tribulation period. This anticipation is grounded in the belief that, by the midpoint of the tribulation, the temple will be built and, unfortunately, defiled by the Antichrist. Over a decade ago, temple activists initiated Passover sacrifice reenactments as part of their efforts to hasten the rebuilding of the temple. However, these activities faced challenges. The idea of reviving temple sacrifices had been viewed as extremist in the past, as it was feared to provoke Muslim retaliation. Consequently, civil authorities were hesitant to grant permits for such ceremonies in Jerusalem, and the police actively prohibited attempts to bring sheep into the Old City for sacrifices. This opposition reflected concerns about potential tensions and conflicts in the region. Remarkably, there has been a notable shift in the perspective of the police and the Jerusalem municipality. The rehearsal activities, once seen as controversial, are now viewed as entirely acceptable public happenings. Both authorities reportedly support and want to witness these events taking place.
Okay. Any comments on that?
No, sir. But on that first video you showed, could you give the name of that video that talked about all the regions?
Oh, time is running out for Israel. Let me see.
Thank you.
Time is running out. Millions won't survive this much longer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, I'll play this right here. Some need to know information. Then we'll read a few chapters out of the book of Zechariah.
Uncover the unknown clues of your ancestry. In just moments, learn which ethnic groups were most commonly brought from Africa during the evil slave trade. They shaped the Americas. Don't miss the surprising connections you might share with these incredible tribes. We will look at the characteristics of these groups or tribes and what each ethnic group was best known for. In many cases, some people can even trace back some of their present-day traits to traits seen in these ancestors. The first area where many were stolen from is the Gold Coast. Today, that area is known as Ghana. According to historians and books written by slaveholders at the time, slaves from the Gold Coast seemed to be accustomed with fighting and war from birth, which gave them an undeniable flexibility and energy. They were described as by far the most hardy and robust of all the tribes. They were known as hard workers, fit for labor. There was only one problem. Slaves from the Gold Coast were said to have dangerous and lofty ideas of being independent, which made them the most watched slaves, as they could rebel at any time. The most aggressive of this group was the Coromantins, which is another name for the Akan ethnic group, also from Ghana. It is said that plantations in Trinidad and Tobago suffered greatly from rebellions when they unknowingly brought in large amounts of slaves from the Gold Coast region. Many people in the US and the Caribbean have direct Gold Coast ancestry.
So notice right here that we ain't start out like we are now. Passive. Not quick to act. You see, after all these curses that's been on us, we in the state that we in now, but he's telling you how we were before when they brought us here.
The next well-documented group is the Senegalese. Many people don't know this, but plenty of enslaved Africans came from Senegal. Here is what historian and slaveholder Dr. Collins had to say about people from Senegal being brought to the Americas.
The Negroes from Senegal are a handsome race of people, in features resembling the whites, and with bodies tall and well-limbed. Many of them converse in the Arabic language.
Based on what is known about the Senegalese who were brought to the New World, many of them were educated enough to both speak and write in Arabic. One interesting thing that they were known for is being excellent at the care of horses, cows, and almost any four-legged livestock. This gave them an advantage when it came to the management of animals, so they were very well suited for those tasks on a plantation. According to historians, the Senegalese were not a good fit for hard work in the field. Their background, physical constitution, and skill set meant that field work was often too hard on them. Similar to many other African ethnic groups, today we can see the resemblance between quite a few Senegalese tribes and certain Black Americans and Black people from the Caribbean. The next ethnic group we have history on is the Congos. Now, the Congos are unique in that they were one of the first ethnic groups to welcome Portuguese traders into their areas in the 1400s. Eventually, those relationships turned predatory as Portuguese traders started raiding and forcibly taking slaves from the Congo region. The Congos were described by historians as handsome and generally very dark-skinned. It was also noted that unlike many of the other groups, the Congos did not have many tribal cuttings or markings on their faces or bodies. The Congos were generally known as good-natured and memorable for their humor, jovial nature, and cracking jokes. Mostly they tended to be fit for domestic work, but not field work. This is not because the tribes were weak, but because field work was extremely onerous. It would kill you if you weren't prepared. Next, there was the Mandingo ethnic group. The Mandingos are another ethnic group largely found in Central and West Africa, who were taken away in large numbers. The biased commentators of the time had an interesting theory about the Mandingos. Their theory was that because the natural habitat of the Mandingos was so rich with productive soil, they never had to work very hard to eat or survive. Everything they needed was produced by the environment around them, so they were not used to the hard field labor. They would easily get tired and fatigued and even get seriously ill from field work. As a result, many Mandingos ended up working either as night watchmen or in the distillery, producing alcohol as their main trade. After that, we have the Igbos. The Igbos made up a significant number of the African people who were forcibly carried from the west coast of Africa. The Igbos were seen as both good and bad at the same time. Here's why. They were seen as aggressive and stubborn, liking to get their own way, and hard negotiators. Even worse, they were known to be likely to jump overboard, off the ship, after being taken from the continent. It actually became expected that many of them would try to unalive themselves before they arrived in the New World. They had a reputation as being some of the hardest slaves to deal with. However, At the same time, they were considered to be superior workers. The women, in particular, were considered to be just as strong and just as smart as the men. So it was considered a trade-off between their aggressive and stubborn nature versus the fact that the ones who made it would be great laborers. Many people in the United States, the Caribbean, even the United Kingdom and Canada can trace their ethnicity directly back to the Igbo people. It is easy to see the resemblance between an Igbo person and many persons from the American South, for example. Some loanwords and practices also carried over from West African culture into Southern American and also Caribbean culture. Perhaps I'll make a video on that soon. Next, there was Gaboon. There was one ethnic group whose numbers were plentiful in the beginning, but were greatly reduced toward the end of the slave trafficking trade. This is the Kingdom of Gaboon. It's not clear if the Kingdom of Gaboon mentioned in history books is the same as the current country of Gabon. The Gaboon of history was said to be a kingdom found along the equator. People forcibly brought to the New World from the Kingdom of Gaboon developed a terrible reputation as a terrible choice of slave. They were plentiful and could be purchased cheaply on the west coast of Africa, but had a reputation as frail and easy to die. While it was common to lose many enslaved people on the trip to the New World, people from Gaboon were especially vulnerable due to their poor health and the terrible conditions of slavery. Many of them sadly passed away. In a sense, those of us in the African diaspora who are alive today are likely among the genetically fittest of all the humans trafficked from the coast of Africa. Finally, we have the Waidos and Aradas ethnic groups. Africans from the Wido, Papo, and Aradas tribes were the most sought out at the time, desired for their intelligence and sadly their overall fitness for servitude. The Aradas kingdom was one of the more interesting. It was a coastal kingdom in West Africa, in what is known as Benin today. This kingdom was founded by people from the Aja ethnic group. The Aja are also known for being a traveling people. This is because of the fact that they are from a densely populated area, leading them to regularly seek out other areas to settle. The Aja, Fon, and Gaadangbe are all related tribes. Together, they accounted for a large amount of the people carried to the Americas from Benin, Togo, and Ghana. As we conclude this exploration of the African ethnic groups brought to the Americas during the transatlantic slave trade, it's essential to recognize the deep impact of this tragic period in history. Each group brought a unique set of specific traits, behaviors, and knowledge. They not only endured unimaginable hardship, but also significantly shaped the social and cultural fabric of the United States and beyond.
Okay, any comments on that? So as we can see right here, just from watching that's where a lot of the diversity comes from between us today. Somebody had something?
Shalom. I was going to say, the way he went through the different tribes and talked about the strengths or weaknesses, or Ghana was the one that could withstand most of the field work. A lot of them couldn't. So a lot of them that were doing the field work, that was something that all the other countries, like he talked about how Portugal was friends, not so much friends, but got along with one of the tribes, but then turned on the tribe. So word got out that these different tribes could do different things. So they probably, tried to get a lot of the field ones from Ghana.
Right. Yeah, the last tribe that he mentioned He said, why Judah? But that's Judah. That's the tribe of Judah. He said those were the most sought out ones out of all. And then some that kind of contradicted to me what he said was, if you watch all the slave movies and listen and do the history, it was like the Mandingo male was like hitting the jackpot. Everybody went to flipping and jumping when they brought a Mandingo on the plantation. That's what the movie Mandingo was about. The guy had left and went to New Orleans to get a Mandingo. What's his name played it? Ken Norton played it, and they brought him back to the plantation. And the story was surrounding that they brought this Mandingo back, and then you know the story behind it. They would go buy one and breed him with other women to get more. But it was the people from Waiuda and the ones from Mandingo. The Mandingos was the one they sought out. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else got anything?
Shalom. So what the
Okay.
ones that was placed in the house, was they the ones that were the weaker ones that couldn't take the field, picking cotton and stuff like that? Were they the ones that were placed in the house, or were they the women and men who were placed in the house to be the house, people, slaves? They just was part of some of the the field workers. I mean, he mentioned ones that were so weakened they couldn't do the field, so maybe they were the housekeepers or slaves, the house slaves.
From my understanding of that, it was he said that first ethnic group they was extremely his men was extremely handsome and the women seemed extremely beautiful and shapely. And then he said the people from the Congolese people was the same way. So when you watch those slave movies, you notice those are ones that was in the house, and those are ones that the slave master had a problem with. The slave master wife had a problem with the slave master because he was dealing with those women, and then the slave master had a problem with the slave wife because she was dealing with the males. So make a lot of stuff starting to make sense. And then because of the slave masters having all these kids, those are the ones that ended up being in the house. Was his offspring, came from him. He gave them special privileges because of, everybody knew they was his kids because of their complexion. Those are pretty much the ones that got the breaks around the plantation.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right. So with that being said, nobody else have anything, we're gonna go to Zechariah and read a couple of chapters, about maybe 3 chapters. Somebody want to read chapter 1? And we'll just read a couple of chapters, break them down. Zechariah chapter 1. Anybody want to read it? Okay, I'll read it. It says, in the 8th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Bechiah, the son of Iddu the prophet, saying, the Lord hath been sore displeased with your fathers. Therefore say thou unto them, thus said the Lord of hosts, turn ye unto me, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will turn unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. Be ye not as your fathers, unto whom the former prophets have cried, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, turn ye now from your evil ways and from your evil doings, but they did not hear nor hearken unto me, saith the Lord. So like I said, it's no new thing under the sun. He said, Solomon tells us that those things that have that's happening now happened before. And the things that's happening now gonna happen again. So we see right here in chapter 1, verse 2, the Lord have been sore displeased with your fathers. Therefore say thou unto them, thus says the Lord God of hosts, turn ye unto me, said the Lord of hosts, and I will turn unto you. So we see the same thing happening now. He poured his spirit out on us, and now we waking up and understanding who he is. So you got a choice. Turn unto him, or reap the benefits, or reap the repercussions of it. Then 4 says, for be ye not like your fathers, unto whom the former prophets. So just like I said, he waking up men, Levites and men right now that he showing them what's going on and what can happen. They speaking it forth. Either you deal with it or you don't. It says, be ye not like your fathers, unto whom the former prophets have cried, saying, thus says the Lord of hosts, turn ye now from your evil ways and from your evil doings, but they did not hear nor hearken unto me, said the Lord. So notice it says, thus said the Lord of hosts. Not Yahweh, Jesus, says the Lord of hosts. Your fathers, where are they? And the prophets, do they live forever? But my word and my statutes, which I command my servants, the prophets, did they not take hold of their fathers? And they returned and said, like as the Lord of hosts thought to do unto us, according to our ways and according to our doings, so have he dealt with us. So 7, upon the 4th and 20th day of the 11th month, which is the month of Shebat, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Bokiah, the son of Iddu, the prophet, saying, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse, and he stood among the myrtle trees and trees that were in the bottom, and behind him there were red horses and speckled and white horses. This well, the same stories in Revelation. This is where they got it from right here. Then said I, O my Lord, what are these? And the angel talked with me, said unto me, I saw thee what these be. And the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, these are they whom the Lord hath sent to walk to and fro through the earth. And they answered the angel of the Lord that stood among the myrtle trees and said, we have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sitteth still and is at rest. Then the angel of the Lord answered and said, O Lord of hosts, how long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast had indignation these 70 years? See that? So we know that's what Jeremiah prophesied. That's the time period that they're going to be in Babylon. 70 years. 20 times 3 times 20, 20 times 3 plus 10 is 70. So it says, and the Lord answered the angel that talked with me with good words and a comfortable words. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, cry thou, saying, thus says the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and he helped forward the affliction. Therefore, thus said the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies, and my house shall be built in it, the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, thus says the Lord of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the Lord shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. So let's look at that. It says, 15, the Lord of hosts talking. I am very sore displeased with the heathen, right? Just like now. He cast us out the land, but he didn't expect them to do all the atrocities that they've done to us to this point. So he says, I was so displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased. He was just a little displeased with us. And they helped forward the affliction, so they increased the affliction. 16, therefore, thus said the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem. So where he coming from? If he returned to Jerusalem, where he coming from? On the right-hand side of the Father, where JC supposed to be at. Okay? With mercies in my house. So the house in Jerusalem is his, not Yahweh house. Yahweh house in heaven. My house shall be built in it, says the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, thus says the Lord of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the Lord shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. So this is my point right here, but I keep on saying, I don't know if it's sinking in or what, but it says, I told you, they keep on talking about the third temple when we just watched. The third temple going to be built, the third temple, So Solomon built the temple, Zerubbabel built the temple, and Herod built the temple. That's 3 temples right there. So the whole trick to JC in the New Testament is that they didn't trick off the understanding of what Zerubbabel temple is and what's going on with the prophets. So let's look at this right here. I showed you Zechariah in the book of 2nd Ezra, Zechariah and Haggai and all these minor prophets. They came out of Babylon with Zerubbabel. So if that's the case, Zerubbabel is talking about, Zechariah is talking about Zerubbabel temple. So let's look at it. Zechariah 1:15. And I am very so displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. Then 16. Therefore, thus says the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. Return to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, says the Lord, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem, right? So let's go and look at that. So go to Ezekiel, right? We know Ezekiel was in the captivity in Babylon. Let's look at this. Like I said, it's one lie after another after another. Multiple layers you got to get through to get to the truth of the matter. So I'm in Ezekiel, right? Based off what I just read. He said, the Lord host said, I'll return to Jerusalem. This after the 70 years, 10 years. After 70 years, he went to the Father, back to the heaven of heaven. He returned to Jerusalem after the 70 years was up, right? And he said a line is going to be laid. So when Ezekiel chapter 40, Zechariah in the captivity in Babylon, and Ezekiel in the captivity in Babylon. So right here, they got Negroes, Hebrew Christians and Christians alike, reading chapter 40 of Ezekiel as a futuristic. So let's look at it. In the 5 and 20th year of our captivity, see that? Captivity, the one in Babylon. In the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after that, the city was smitten, and the self-same day, the hand of the Lord was upon me and brought me hither. So that first captivity, the first group that went to Babylon was when Nebuchadnezzar came the first time to Jerusalem, which is Ezekiel and all them. So they went, they already in captivity, but the Chaldeans came back twice. So he says that they was in captivity in Babylon, and then that Nebuchadnezzar went back there last time and destroyed the temple. They already in Babylon. And he said, when that happened, then the hand of the Lord was upon him, right? So it says, in the vision of God, brought me to the land of Israel. See that? They in captivity in Babylon. And set me upon a very high mountain, by which was the frame of a city was on the south. All this tied to Daniel 9:25. He brought me thither, and behold, there was a man, check it out, whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of a flax in his hand, and a measuring reed. And he stood in the gate. And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears, and set thine heart upon all that I shall show thee, for to the intent that I might show thee them unto thee, that I might show them unto thee, that I might, that are thou brought hither. Declare all that thou seest to the house of Israel. And behold, a wall on the outside of the house round about, and in the man's hand a measuring reed of 6 cubits long by the cubit of a hand's breadth. So he measured the breadth of the building and the reed and the height and the reed. So this Rubel temple. This ain't no damn temple in the future. This is Rubel temple. So Zechariah saying the same thing in verse 16. Therefore, thus said the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem after 70 years with mercies. My house shall be built in it, said the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Same thing. So this is how they tricked us off with JC right here, this time period right here. So it says, 17, cry yet, thus said the Lord of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the Lord shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. So now let's go to Daniel. See if Daniel ain't saying the same thing, especially 9:25. So it says in Daniel 9:25, okay, this supposed to be, like I said, this is the golden card, JC right here, 9:25. He says, know therefore and understand that from the going forth for the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince, Zerubbabel, shall be 7 weeks, 62 weeks. Streets shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublesome times. All three of them saying the same thing. Ezekiel, Zechariah, and Daniel. All this the same time period. They got you thinking Zechariah talking about Jesus in the future, and Ezekiel talking about in the future. That's why they believe the Antichrist coming, when he already came. Right here in the very next verse, Daniel 9:26. And after 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off, but not for himself, and the people of the prince Antiochus that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and until the end wars and desolation shall be determined. So we see in Daniel 9:25, they come back and rebuild Jerusalem. Then in Daniel 9, it's a long period of time in between these two verses. And 26, after they come back, rebuild it, then because of their disobedience, Antiochus come and destroy the city. And none of this got nothing to do with no future. All this didn't happen, it came to pass, and all the players in it is dead. None of this got nothing to do with the future. So I keep reading in Zechariah 1:18. Then it says, then lifted I up mine eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And the Lord showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head, but these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter it. And then, so that's chapter 1. Zechariah. Any comments, questions? I'll read one more chapter. Chapter 2. It says, man with the measuring.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so it says the man with the measuring line. So we see right here, it's tied right to, I just showed you in Ezekiel 40 and Zechariah 1:16. Therefore, thus said the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies, and my house shall be built in it, said the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem as a measuring line to build a temple. So chapter 2, verse 1, I lifted up mine eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. It's all going together. Like I said before, what no chapters and no verses before. All the stuff just flowed. So then it says, so by them adding chapters and verses, they was able to trick it off. So then 2, then said I, whither goest thou? And he said unto me, to measure Jerusalem, just like the Most High said in Daniel 9:25. Okay, to measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for the multitude of men and cattle therein. They all gonna come back. For I said the Lord, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north. That's from Babylon. Flee from Babylon, said the Lord, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven, said the Lord. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon. So it's not no mystery Babylon. It's Babylon. It's actual Babylon. When you understand the time frame, that's where they came from. That's where they at. Zechariah, Ezekiel, Daniel. That's where they all at. So the 70 years are up. So he's saying, flee Babylon, not America. Flee Babylon. For the time, the 70 years is up. Let me read 6 again. It says, ho, ho, come forth. Flee from the land of the north, Babylon, said the Lord. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heavens, said the Lord. Deliver thyself. The 70 years up. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon. For thus says the Lord of hosts, after the glory have I sent me unto you, after his glory have sent me unto you, the nations which spoiled you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be spoiled. He brought Cyrus, spoil their servants, and ye shall know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord of hosts, have sent me unto you. And the Lord said, and the Lord shall inherit Judah, his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Right? Be silent, O all flesh, before the Lord. He is raised up out of his holy habitation. Okay. Any comments? That was chapter 2. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody good on that? So like I said before, you got to understand that with so many people going on here, and you can't tell them nothing, is that they read these verses trying to place them in the future when it's not in the future. That's what these people have done to us. In order to bring JC to get him where he at today, they had to create a scenario for him, and that's what they did. They came back and took with these scriptures and made it look like a bunch of this stuff hadn't happened. It was futuristic when it all already happened. Like I said, Herod built the third temple. They want you to think that Herod added on the Solomon temple. But hell, what about Peter's temple?
It's true.
Somebody needs to mute.
Okay. So, with that being said, anybody have any questions, comments about this morning or anything before we go?
Well,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay. When you talked about tricking it off with the different other verses in the Bible, like in Zechariah, when they keep talking about the third temple, and that's already been done, and that
Right.
means that like you said, when we went to Ezekiel, that the Antichrist is coming when he's already
Right.
been there. Yeah.
Right.
I could see how it could be some confusing, but in the first need to know current events, when the guy was showing us how the war is spreading, where it started, and then now it's spreading all over.
Right.
That is something, because that's just showing us more and more that things is really happening like it's supposed to be happening, and it's happening.
Right. Yeah, we being just like in the past, we being freed. So what we waiting on, what's coming to the world is judgment on the nations for what they did to us. We already going. We at the end of our punishment. He ain't coming to punish us. He coming to deliver us. We in the same predicament that when he came to Egypt and brought the 10 plagues. He didn't bring the 10 plagues to the Israelites. He
Yes,
brought
sir.
the 10 plagues to free the Israelites. They had already been in bondage. So that's what we're witnessing now. Ain't nothing for to happen to us. We coming to be delivered. He coming to deliver us. Why would the Antichrist come to afflict us? We already been afflicted. We're at the end of the affliction. And
We've
that's what you
already
see
had our
everybody
curse.
doing. What's that?
Yes, sir. I said we've had our curse. We've already been cursed
Right.
from the beginning. Yes, sir.
Right. And how you know that is, he says that at the end, you're going to turn our captivity, and then you're going to put the curses on the nations, on the Gentiles. We already see that. We see the curses already being put on the Gentiles. So how is he going to afflict us when he removing
Yes.
the curses off of us? It's crazy.
Yes. Yes, sir. And take us back to our land.
Right. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Shalom. I believe that's why they placed the New Testament in there, to continue to keep others in the dark about it and not wake up. But they couldn't. So we're waking up to see and hear and come to the knowledge of. And by the New Testament, they're all hawking on that, saying about getting the red heifer and doing all these things and wanting people to say JC is coming back, those things. And yes, Christianity has lured a lot into that area, but we're coming out of that area. And it's a
Right.
blessing that our eyes are opening and our ears are opening.
Exactly. Right. Anybody else got anything? Okay. So, like I said, we didn't made it to another Shabbat, another week. So I'll see everybody on Tuesday for our Tuesday night Sabbath class. I want to say shalom, shalom, shalom. I'll see y'all on Tuesday.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.
Okay.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.